Somebody can, we will record that. So if anybody is watching this later, it is not a specific Power 30. It is preparing yourself so that you have productive Power 30s. And so at the beginning of every month, I think it's critical, crucial, important, whatever would priority. The majority of us do not slow down, get stuff on paper, really work it out of what we've learned to be able to even move forward. We just keep moving forward. And whenever we do that, we say, I'm stuck, I'm burned out, this isn't working, I'm beating my head up against the wall. And it's because you're just doing action. You're just saying, tell me what to do, tell me what to do, tell me what to do. I'm doing it. Why isn't anything happening? Why isn't anything happening? And it's because you haven't slowed down, asked yourself some questions, really kind of gotten under it foundationally to say, I'm confident with where I'm going and what I'm doing. Lots of people start off and then 6 months from now, you don't even know how you got where you are. You're hijacked, you're questioning, you're saying, this is not what I wanted to do with my life. This is not how I want to feel. I didn't want to feel right. All these different things, depending on how you're growing. And it's because you allowed someone else to take control of your days, what you're doing, what your mindset is. You have to make the decision yourself. It's your choice, not anybody else's. Nobody else can tell you what to do. You have to choose if that's the right thing for you to do. You have to choose. Your thoughts, your mind is the most powerful thing that you can have, and it has authority over everything else. So if you're just doing tasks, if you're just showing up and saying, I do Power 30 every single day and it is not working, this is not a formula. It's because the mindset that's behind it, your belief in yourself, your confidence in yourself, if that's not there and you're just doing the task, you're going to end up in July where you were in June. You might actually be going backwards. You might be in June way further back than you were in January. And for the majority of us, we point fingers towards why that is happening. We blame upline, downline, have a team, don't have a team. She, of course, is doing well because she has this characteristic or this skill set, versus saying, have I truly owned my own business? Have I truly made my own decisions? Am I showing up with a confidence and an excitement because God's put purpose in this for me? That's where we have to start. And so I can't start July and start Power 30s without starting you here first. I just can't. Um, and I think we would be doing a disservice. So this is where we're going to start. I want you to pull out pen and paper. You know that that's how I work. I'm always going to make you think about what do you think before I ever ask you, what do you do? And so that piece is important. I'm trying to read this real quick. Taking ownership and making the choice to change my mindset has been exactly. Sometimes feel like you're offending people, but I have to realize I would respect their work time if they had a job. So it's okay for me to put those boundaries. It's so true. Why do we think that we're going to offend people because of the work that we're doing? Other people go off and do jobs, and we're not offended that they can't go to lunch with us. We're not offended that they can't get on the phone with us. We respect them for bringing in a paycheck and providing for their family. Why is what we're doing any different? It's not less important at all, unless you think it's less important. And if you think it's less important, then everyone around you is going to confirm that for you, because they're going to come back and validate that for you. But if you believe it's important and you believe that that time is crucial for you to have a paycheck and put food on the table, then they will validate that because you're showing worth to it. So that's such a great point, and I'm so glad that you brought that piece out. That's good. Okay, so let's get going with your pen and paper. I want you to write down, what did you learn in June? Now, for me, I actually pulled out my calendar and kind of looked at some different things that I did in June. But what did I learn about myself in June? What did I learn about my beliefs? I'm always vulnerable with you guys. You know, one thing that really came out for me in June was I don't see myself as a diamond. And so I had to really work around that. That was an area that I learned about myself. Now, could that be because we didn't have convention, or we didn't go on our trip last year? Um, you have to remove those things. Me not believing or feeling like or forgetting that I'm a diamond is my mindset. Why would I not think that way? Why would, when Rosalind says, all the diamonds over here for our picture, do I forget, oh, that's me? So, what is it for you? What have you learned about yourself, about who you are, how you lead, how you show up on social media? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about your fears? Fears was another one for me in June. I've come to recognize I'm quite fearful of some things. Once again, could it be COVID? Could it be because I was in my little cocoon for a year and now getting out socially, there's fears there? Or I just have these weird fears that are popping up. I've learned that I've got to manage some of that. And in fact, I've challenged myself to fight against it. So if I'm fearful of going and doing something, guess what? It means I'm going to go and do it, because I better overcome that, because I'm not going to grow old fearful. I'm not. So I want you to think about that for yourself, about your beliefs, how you see yourself. I want you to think about, how did you grow in June? Maybe how your business grew. I always do percentages of growth. I always ask you to try to grow at least 10%. In April, we went through trying to grow 15%. That was a big challenge. We did lots of events around that, trying to grow in that way. But how did you grow as a person? How did you grow as a mom, as a leader, as a friend? How did you grow in serving other people? How did your heart grow? How did your faith grow? Or did it not? And you need to write that down. If you're like, I don't think I grew, you need to write that down. Okay, the next thing I want you to put down is looking at your month. This is once again where I pull out my calendar. What worked for you in June? Your IPA schedule, the business opportunity call of getting guests on that call, stories. Did your recruiting work? Did you recruit? What worked? Building new relationships, planning your posts out. One day we're all going to be experts at planning our posts, planning how we want to show up. What worked for you? Look at the people that you met, the people that you talked to, the people that you signed up. Look at the systems that you used. Did retention work for you this past month? Did you follow a system and find ease in it? Did talking to your downline work for you in June? Did you actually start reaching out to your downline and being proactive? What didn't work? I really want you to tick those things off of what didn't work. Did you get any guests to the business call? Did you get zero? I would say that didn't work for you. What didn't work? Did you cultivate new relationships? Do you have literally a list of 10 to 20 new faces and friends because you cultivated in June? If not, it didn't work. Was it even a goal of yours, right? The didn't work is going to come up pretty big for anyone that's not goal setting, for anyone that's not intentional. You're going to be like, I don't even know what didn't work. And it's because you had no plan. But if you had a plan, you're going to be able to extract pretty well. What didn't work? I showed up once a week on social media. That did not work for my business. In fact, I got no sales from it. What didn't work? I have a relationship with one of my downline that's not good right now. And I actually didn't even reach out to him at all because I had a fear of what it was going to happen. And now I don't even know if they're going to continue to grow a business. I'd say not doing conflict resolution didn't work for you because you're still stuck. Okay, so think through those things. Okay, thinking about June, what would you have done differently? What would you do differently? If you had June to do over, would you do your IPAs differently? Would you actually schedule business hours? Would you be more intentional with growing relationships? Would you get those 3 people on a business call? Would you post intentionally? Like, what is it for you? Okay, I'd like to take just a minute. I'd love for you guys to go back to this. I cannot tell you how critical this piece is for you to have an excellent July and an intentional one. I'd love if you feel like it to put into the chats what you learned in June. What did you learn about yourself or your beliefs? I shared with you some of mine. What did you learn? I'm hoping this means everyone's typing. It's just not coming. That's excellent, Dawn. I do feel like that you've turned over, you've turned a corner, I think, on that, don't you? I'm really proud of you for that. Man, okay, I'm going to have to read this one out loud. I won't say the name for those that are not with us, just out of protecting. But I love what this says. I learned that the systems we have in place work if I'm bold enough to share them. I learned that I do have a place at the table and I am welcomed by each and every person, even if they are a plexus celeb. I've learned that I can push past my fears and get out of my comfort zone in a big way, and I didn't die. Amen. And so be it. I am starting to see myself as a leader. This makes me tearful. I'm seeing myself as a leader and even making hard decisions to spur my team along. I've learned that I'm really not in control. The Lord is, and He is revealing Himself to me in new ways. Excellent. Need to card my own IPA time. That's a big one. And I so appreciate you putting that out there. It's so critical no matter where you are, what stage you're in this business. It's so critical. Yeah, Liz, exactly. Exactly. That reading it out loud just made me, I mean, I started reading, I'm like, oh my goodness, that has to be spoken. And can I share this? I love what she just said. We can write things, but whenever we speak them out loud, it does something different. Now, I know I spoke them over her and over y'all, but I cannot tell you the criticalness. This room right here has heard so many words out loud because when you speak them out loud, there's power to them. God spoke and things happened. Words are powerful, and we've all said it 100 times, but we're allowing unspoken words be powerful over our mind. And if we would out loud speak spoken words, those would be diminished. I don't care if it's in your closet, in your bathroom. I know for me, if I had family around, I would literally go into a closet and I might not scream them out like I do here now, because here I'm by myself, except for dogs that think I'm literally the weirdest person ever. But you've got to find the place because words spoken out loud are powerful and they change the trajectory of your future. Um, Okay, when my kids' schedules changed, it changed my schedule, but really threw me off. I didn't do what I really wanted to do. So I have got to schedule set times and stick to it. It's a mindset. Once you convicted of it, you see it, you commit to it, it will happen. It will happen. We did a poll yesterday and lots of great conversation. I hope everyone, if you haven't done the poll, please do. I'm asking that for specific reasons. But I thought it was interesting that people just kind of gave up. It's just like, you know what? It is what it is. It's a kid's schedule and there's no time. There's 24 hours in a day. Your kids aren't awake the whole time. And they're not right beside you unless you're nursing or you have a toddler. They're not literally stuck to you 24 hours. Like there really is, if you're a businesswoman and this was the only money that you had to go buy groceries, there would be a way. It's just the way that you view your business. That's bottom line. And it's okay. But if you're saying you want to get somewhere with this business and you want it to be successful, then you better change your mind towards it. And it can't be in 3 or 4 months, I'll do this. Because in 3 or 4 months, your kids are going to be starving. So it's thinking through those things. Okay. Such a big one. I love this. I don't know how to teach people to persevere, even though I demand it of myself. Can I just share that that one, in and of itself, is probably one of the biggest areas for all of us to come to the realization of what we do that we see as normal. It's just how we breathe, how we think, how we live life. And being able to take that and turn it around and be able to minister to someone else and teach them how to do that. I think for me personally, is one of the hardest things to do. For me, it's always like, well, I just do it. Like I've always just done it. And so how do I teach that? And this is how you teach it. You become curious of the people that you want to teach. You become curious as to what is keeping them from persevering, what is keeping them from being bold, what is keeping them from just finding 15 minutes or an hour to do their IPA. Become curious towards them, because then it creatively opens up your mind and your thinking on how you can now start teaching towards it. Because any of us that do things and it's just automatic, it's like something that's successful. Persevering is successful. It means that you don't quit. But whenever you do those things and it's just your MO, whenever as a leader you have to teach it, that means you have to become curious of the other people, the other person, and find out what's going on. And then you get to put your principles into that, and that's how you teach it. It's probably one of the biggest areas that's hard for me. Not because I know how to do everything or it's my MO. It's just everything is in me pretty deep. And I'm like, God, how do I pull that out? Because I'm a deep thinker. And I've got to pull that deep thinking out and learn how to communicate it simply. And sometimes I don't think I'm simple in my words. And so that is a learning and a growing as a leader, that you're developing yourself to lead. So I love that. There's so many here that are good. Okay, so this will be my question. This is my next one. Y'all put them in here super quick. What would you do differently I want to know, and I want you to claim the things that you're going to do that you would have done differently. You now have a clean slate to do it in July. So will you start putting in what you wrote down for what would I do differently? Whenever you saw what worked and didn't work, what would you do differently? And can I tell you some of the things that worked? There's some great things that worked for me in June. I'm still going to do them differently because I learned from it and I'm going to better it. So there's some things that it's not because it didn't work that you're going to do it differently. It's because it did work. But through that, you said, man, if I did these other things to it, it would just launch it to a different level. So always know that. But I want you to write down what you will, what you would have done differently in June. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me, Dawn, I would love, what is your thought that you need to have about viewing your business more seriously? What is the thought that you need to have about that for that to actually happen?
I think well, I wouldn't have necessarily known how to put it in words, but when you were talking just now about if you needed groceries, like you would make that happen, right? I have 2 other jobs that I work outside of the home. So waiting tables and a cleaning job. And I would never not show up for those.
Right.
Like I wouldn't do that. As a matter of fact, I'm scheduled to work like the whole week I get back from Tennessee, but my father-in-law just passed away and now we've got to do all that. And I'm trying to figure out like, how are we going to have the service? Because I can't call into work because they're shorthanded. And if I call in, I'm late. So it's like, I'm serious about that. I would not do that to them.
Right.
So why would I do that to me? Right. I just had to decline my dad's phone call like 5 times in a row because I'm like, I'm on a call. It's not just
that's right.
Like it's work. I wouldn't answer you if I was at a table talking to somebody waiting tables.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You have made the connection. You've made the connection. So now you just have to make it a habit. You know, I share with so many people, I put my phone on airplane mode. So there was a time that I put it on do not disturb because I felt like I needed to hear from my family. But at some point you have to have faith that your family is going to be okay in that 15 minutes, that 30 minutes, that 1 hour. So don't use it as an excuse, because then you're going to see it and think that you have to answer and it's a chit chat. A lot of times I will literally send a text to my family or whoever's important to say, I'm about to go offline. I need to get some work done. Is everything okay? I'm going into airplane mode. They know. So do that. If you use it as an excuse of, but what if something's happened to my kids? Well, actually, they're just upstairs. Nothing's going to happen to them. Amen. Like we say that and it's like, but the reality is they're like sitting at your feet. So you just don't turn it off because you have a fear of missing out. So everybody has a different thing. Think about it. Is it an excuse or a necessity? If it's an excuse, you need to remove it. If you desire for this to be an income for you and to make a difference and an impact on lives. Okay, so we're going to close out real quick. And I do hope that you really work through this incredible information. I am probably going to pull this information because I really want to read it. And you might want to grab it and just think through some of the things that are being said because I think it's excellent. Yeah, Michelle says she does airplane mode. Okay, so goals. What do you want to happen in July for yourself and for your team? What goals do you have set? Do you want 5 new customers? Do you want 2 new business builders? What do you want for July? And I really want you to think about it. And it has to be something that's realistic. Definitely something that might be a little bit out of reach, but not something that's out there to where you're going to fail and not hit it. And then next month you're going to say, I never set goals because I miss them. Well, it's because you're not being realistic with your goals. Okay, if you have that down, I want you to think about what habits do you have to change for that goal to be hit? What habits do you have to change? Airplane mode, showing up on social media every day, not getting into the pool with other people whenever they're talking negative. Don't be like, yes, girl, you're right. You should be mad. Like, stay out of the pool. Don't, throw them a lifeline and that's it. What has to change for you? Setting those goals, those business hours, actually sharing with people that you actually sell and love Plexus. Some people are like, I want to grow so much, but like literally, you're never telling people what you do. Stories is an excellent place to share everything that you love. So, what habits need to change? With that, also, is how do you have to show up? So, if you're really going for your next rank and promotion, a lot of times we connect to that too. If I need 250 points and I'm at 150, like to get there, we look at those numbers and we set those goals. But my question for you, and I asked several of you this past weekend, is who do you have to be that, to be an emerald? If you say I want to be an emerald, how's that emerald showing up? How is that ruby showing up? How's that senior ruby showing up every single day? How does that diamond show up every single day? Because if that is your goal and you're not living that person now, it's going to be very hard to get to the goal. But if that ruby, senior gold, emerald is showing up and believing that she has a business and believing that she's impacting lives and believing that she has things to say to her team that's going to help them grow up and develop, then you need to be that person today, because it's not going to all of a sudden you wake up and you've got emerald around your neck and you're like, oh my goodness, I already have all the skill sets. My character has changed and I'm all of a sudden confident. I've never been confident, but now that I hit 1,500 points, I have confidence birthed. It doesn't work that way. You have to work on that part of you now. And the sooner you work on being that person, the sooner, I promise, you will get to that person. But if you're just saying it's just going to happen whenever it happens, and I know that it's out there, you fight for it. You fight for changing. This morning I was reading in Hebrews. I keep going back to Hebrews 11, and it's around 33 through 38. I read it out of the Passion. Go read it out of the Passion. But it talks about that your faith, it says their faith took a hold of God's promises. It latched on to God's promises so that those promises could be a reality. So God has promised, God has blessed you. God has said, here's a gift called Plexus Worldwide for you to grow your character, your impact, and your income and your health. Oh my goodness, like the huge gift. But then our faith, we have to believe that we're worth taking that and doing something with it. And I love what that says about that. Their faith took a hold of his gift and made it a reality. And it also just talked about their faith brought in the armies to fight the battle. They became, because of their belief, they became the warrior. Your faith has to be in place. So if you want to have 5 new customers, you have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe. And if you don't, we need to work on why. Why are you not worth that? Why do you not deserve it? What is holding you back to think that you have to be imprisoned, that you have to be defeated, that that's where you have to live life, is a life of defeat, a life of failure? What has made you believe that you should live that? Why are you not worth? If God gave you a gift, why is he not giving you that gift? Because he knows your worth. He believes you've got to figure out why you don't. And you really do have to uncover it. Ashley's like, amen, and so be it. Ashley's heard me talk about this 101 times, poor child. So she's with me in my master class. So I want you to say, who is that person and how is she showing up every day and what am I going to do with that? Okay. So if you want to put your goals into the thread, we will end with that. Is put that over there, claim that. I am claiming it with you and for you. I hope that you'll go back and look at this. If you just blow over this, I promise your July will not be what you hoped. I promise it won't. I can without a doubt guarantee, because your thought and your belief has to come first, not the task. No more just tell me what to do. Because if you believe that you could do it, you would literally be showing up. You wouldn't even have to be told what to do. it would be so ingrained in you and you wouldn't be able to wait because you already saw what was ahead of you. Okay. Thanks so much for being with me today. I hope that this was helpful and good. I hope it gives you some things to think about. If you are on the prayer call, if you're wanting to be on that, it just got started, so you can jump on, or you can actually continue your IPA right now and pray with yourself or with a group. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later.